Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I have fixed the audio issues I was having in my last video, so that's all good. Now, I don't know about you, but I just love Christmas. There's something so magical about this time of year with all the decorations and the lights, and everyone just seems so happy. Unless it's like a couple of days before Christmas and they're all running around like a headless chicken. But we don't want to talk about that. Let's focus on the good stuff. I love to decorate for Christmas. It's one of my favourite things. And if there's anything I've learned over the past few years, it's that if I love to decorate in real life, I love it even more in The Sims 4. I just really adore going in and building these magical Christmassy lots, whether they're community lots or they're households. I love it so much. Which brings us to today's build. If you don't know, this is the second video in my series called Building My Books, where I take the romance novels I've published, I take a location from one of them, and I try to recreate it in The Sims 4. This is a lot harder than you'd think it would be. For one, there are restrictions in The Sims 4 that we don't have in real life, or my imagination, which of course is limitless. So it's really hard to sometimes exactly put into The Sims 4 what I've already written down on paper. And aside from that, there are things that exist in real life that just don't exist in The Sims, so it's literally impossible to put them in the build. For today's build, I'm building the grotto from my romance novel, Without A Claus. I published this Christmas rom-com last year, and I just thought it was the perfect build to kick off the Christmas builds on the channel. And I happen to know, because I'm psychic, the cover is about to pop up about now. There we go. I told you. The grotto is a huge part of the story in Without A Claus, but I'm sure you'd rather hear about that while you watch me build the actual lot. So let's get started, shall we? Okay, I'm going to start this by saying please ignore Holly Kringle in the middle of the road. I've decided she's going to be my Christmas sim. She's going to test all of my builds. She's my little play tester, but she was in the way. She's also in my bad books because the first time I tried to film this, she almost died, which was really, really inconvenient. So I had to exit out of the game and get back in. And anyway, here we are. She didn't die. I ended up putting her in some cold outfits. She was fine. This isn't the way the build ends up, as I'm sure you can see. At the moment, it was a lot of fidgeting about, and I really regretted putting these ropes down because I had to move them so many times. I really should have got the build figured out. And I actually decided to make this build a park. It was really difficult because I knew I wanted it to be a community lot because there wouldn't be enough rooms inside for it to be a house. Now, while the lot itself is actually more than big enough to be a house, for example, if you were doing it, you would make the big room here a little bit bigger. What the small room is what ends up being the end hallway. That could easily be a bathroom. It's more than big enough. So if you did download it and you wanted to make it a residential lot, it would be easy to take out the public bathroom. I think I put one of the hot drink counters in from Seasons. It would be easy to change all of that stuff and make it a residential lot. And it would actually be a really cute cabin, probably in somewhere like Granite Falls or even Snowy Escape if you made it fit the aesthetic of that world. This is where you see me start to move stuff around. These ropes were the bane of my existence, and I really, really regret putting them down. The more I watch it, the more I hate myself because I know the way this is going to go. I spent so much time messing around here with the chimney. It was absolutely ridiculous. I could not find a chimney that worked, that I really wanted to be in there. In the end, I did find one, and I think it's this one here. No, it's not that one. Never mind. This was a mess. I probably spent about 20 minutes actually in real life doing it. And this is the one I ended up with. I really liked the way it looked. It was just cabiny enough, but it still really, really made sense. And although this actually moves around, I don't know if I moved the chimney to fit where I do it. This is another thing I really regretted. I spent forever placing these windows because why don't they snap together? It doesn't make any sense that even if they do snap together, there's this massive gap between them. So I spent forever manually placing all of this stuff only to end up flipping the build around. So what you will see is the small hallway and this little room that kind of doubles as a staff room. It ends up getting completely flipped to the other side. The door moves, and yes, I have to move all the ropes again. One big thing with this was actually the positioning of it, and this is the reason I flipped it. In the book, it says very clearly that there's one way in and one way out of the grotto. Now, in Without A Claus, the idea is that this lot is owned by the heroine Quinn's family. And they own a farm which includes the tree farm and the grotto, but in the summer it doubles up as like a vegetable store. So they sell their crops and their produce from their farm in here, and at Christmas it turns into the grotto. This was another reason I decided to make it a park. I think it sort of fit with that vibe. The idea is that it would be in like the main town area, so it would be really easy to sort of decorate it up and sort of change it up for the season. It wouldn't be something that would be too harsh, because otherwise it's just sitting there all day. So anyway, while I'm going through and I'm adding a few decorations, I want to talk a little bit about the book, because I'm guessing at this point, if you're here, you already know my books, you might already know this story, but if you're new here and you don't know, hi, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the book. So in this book, Quinn is the heroine, as I've already mentioned her name. And as I've said, her family own and run the grotto. Now, this is something that has been run for a couple of generations. So it started with her grandparents, and her dad is now the resident Santa. But we kick off the book with finding out that her dad has the flu and he's unable to be Santa because, you know, it's unhygienic, it's not great. You don't want to be infecting hundreds of kids with the flu just to be Santa. You see, I borrow Holly here just to decorate a tree for me. She was very cooperative and she didn't try to die at this point. Anyway, back to the book. I'm getting distracted. And so at this point, she has the flu and she is in desperate need of a Santa, hence the title Rebel Without A Claus. Now, Quinn hates Christmas. She's against all the commercialism. She isn't a big fan of repetitive Christmas songs, something I think we can all get on board with at this time of year. But she's the one who has to run the grotto. Her sister is heavily pregnant and her brother-in-law is running the tree farm that they own and run from their farm. She literally has nobody who can fill in for her. Hugh Nicholas. They have a bit of history going back to their prom where they kind of spent a night together and then he disappeared the next morning. She hasn't seen him since, so he is the last person that she wants to be her Santa, knowing that she's going to be cooped up in this grotto with him for about 10 days right before at the busiest time of the year. That is hours on end with somebody she hates. Or she thinks she hates. It is a romance novel, of course. It doesn't end that way. And the best bit about this is that if you know anything about the tropes of romance novels, it's that they tend to follow a particular pattern. So, for example, if you have a grumpy sunshine, it's normally the male lead, the hero, who is the grumpy, and it's the heroine who is the sunshine. That is one of my favourite tropes, and in this book, I flipped it on its head. Quinn is my grump, Nicholas is my sunshine. And it was so much fun to write, to reverse that trope on its head, put it in a Christmas setting where there's a bit of forced proximity as well. They're stuck together and they've really got no choice about this situation. Well, they do, but Quinn kind of doesn't. He really is the only person who can help her out at such short notice. That's what makes it so much fun. And so in the end, obviously everything pulls off right. It is a romance novel. There is a happy ever after. There has to be. So I won't spoil everything that happens in the book for you though, because, you know, why would you? But if you are interested, it is just a fun, festive escape that would be really good to hide with in the bathroom when your family's over on Christmas Day. We've all done it. I'm not going to judge you if you go and hide from your in-laws or even your own mum, the kids who are screaming with excitement, and there's stuff everywhere. I'm not going to judge you. I don't blame you. If you go, choose a closet, take snacks. That's my only recommendation. So anyway, back to the build. Here, I'm just adding in all the decorations. I had so much fun playing around with this. I always forget how much fun it is to decorate a build for Christmas. And I always forget how much good stuff is really like sort of dug down into seasons and the holiday pack. I might have gone a little bit over the top in here. I wouldn't normally put this much if I was doing like a residential build, for example. But with it being Santa's Grotto, I really wanted to make it this amazingly magical place. As you can see here, I've swapped the trees around. For the positioning, I do add a camera in because one of Quinn's jobs in the book is a camera. And of course, if you've ever been to a grotto, you know that there's always the picture of Santa. So I have the fuzzy rug, I have the little ottoman there. I was going to put it for Santa's feet, but I decided a better use of it was for the child to sit on. So that's there, and then there's the camera. I went in back and forth a few times with that, trying to get the positioning of the camera right. I'm pretty sure it would work in game. That is the one thing I didn't actually test in the game, was the camera. But if you wanted to use it, say, I don't know, you're one of the people who make a Simstagram and you tell the stories and you need a lot for that, it's probably a really good positioning for something like that. But I sort of got right into the camera at one point, and it really does focus on that bit. And I just really prefer the tree on the left. I love that season's tree. I think it is so good. I would love more colours. I think if they want to give us a pack refresh, give us the little seasons refresh right now, just in time for Christmas. Pinkmas. I need a pink Christmas tree. It's not hard. At this point, we should have more colours. And because some of them are just really weird. Like, does anybody have a black and white tree? If you do, I'm sure it looks much better than it does in The Sims, because that just doesn't make any sense in The Sims. It looks awful. Although I do kind of want to now create a black and white Christmas build. I think that could be a really fun challenge because I love colour in my builds. I have built a couple of monochrome builds, but I might do that in the future. I might give up on it, but I think that could be good fun. So now I'm moving outside. This is the exit for the grotto. And these are floor things they're floor tiles, I think they are, from Get Famous. I was actually really trying to look for some little arrows on the floor. I could swear they existed. I was going to have them pointing sort of the way to go when you leave, but I couldn't find them. I'm hopping back and forth a lot because I see things that I want to use and I come back and forth. This is like the little staff room area that is a bit of a storage area, but for the thing of space and for it actually being a functional space that can be used, I decided to just make it a staff room with, I think I put a mini fridge and a microwave in there at one point so your Sims can eat and help themselves to food. Like I said, you could turn this lot with a little bit of change and you could turn it into an actual residential lot. It's a really good size for a small little cabin. You've got enough room for a bedroom, a kitchen, a living room. And so as you can see here, I'm just decorating the outside. I really love the idea of where we have like the topsy-turvy fencing coming up to it. I really like the idea of having all of these decorations around. Now, disclaimer, I did do a bit of a grotto build last year and I did do something similar to this with the lead up. I think it was a shell challenge I did, and I did it just for fun because I loved the idea. It was a tiny build. I can't remember who did it off the top of my head, but it was this tiny little thing and I thought it made the perfect grotto. So this is essentially a larger version of the build. That grotto had a tree farm. I didn't do this here because I wanted to make it a park. At the moment, because I have Holly on the lot for playtesting, it is built as just being built as a house, which you can see the money going. But I do go in at the end, I have her go in and I do test it in real time as a park. And then I change it all over and it does work. This bit really frustrated me. I didn't realise there were so few counters at the register from Get to Work goes on. I spent forever trying to find the right one and then positioning it in place. Just when I thought I got it by sizing down one of the big counters for this little one, it kept poking through. I ended up just putting a couple of nutcrackers in place here just because I needed to hide it somehow, and I think it does a good job. Petition to the Sims team, please let us put the register on more things. That is literally a counter for a register. Why does it not slot in there? It doesn't make any sense. I would really love some more outdoor decorations as well. I love these reindeer. I think they're really cute, but I feel like now the seasons one would actually be a really good pack for a refresh just for some of the content. Just because so much stuff, there's so much stuff now and it's so updated, Christmas and all the decorations. I really struggled with this little bit here as well, so I ended up just putting some presents here. I actually think when I was testing it, I had a townie come up and steal a present, which was a bit inconvenient. I'm not even quite sure how he got, because I think he got like one of the ones that's in the back there behind the reindeer and the snowman. I don't know how he got there, but he did, and I think he stole a present because I remember seeing him opening it, and I was very, very unamused by that. As you can see, I flipped into light to see the lights. I flipped into light. No, I flipped into night so I could see what it looked like when everything was lit up. That's when you can see I changed the tree and I put the other lights in. It is, again, in my vision, it is on the town square. It is a place that people pass a lot. So I wanted it to be this build that you walk past even in the night and you go, oh, look how pretty. Something really, really magical. And I really had fun. I could have put so many more fairy lights in here, but I really did try to restrain myself from that. As you can see, I'm now just putting together the little staff room. It really is the most basic of rooms. You've got a little table, a little space for food, the decoration box because I needed Holly to go in later on and just put some lights on the roof. And what good Christmas build doesn't have the decoration box? Of course, that is a necessity. I went back and forth on this so many times, and I really like this little porch that I created. I had this idea that there would be an elf outside taking the money, and then there would be one inside telling people when to go through. I did toy with the idea of changing the door from the little patio porch area into the main grotto, into sort of like an archway with curtains. But one, I didn't know if it would be functional. And 2, I really kind of like the idea that there's a door, there's a time limit, and there's kind of somebody inside who comes and opens the door. So this is really just a little minder space, but it's also a really cute, cozy little area. The next bit I really struggled with was the requirements for a park. Of course, you have to have patio tables, you've got to have kids' play areas, and you have to have a chess table. While I was able to figure out where to put the play areas, so the jungle gym, and I think it's the monkey bars, and the patio tables was easy with having the hot drink stall, the chess table was the bane of my existence. You see about a minute ago, I actually shrunk it down and tried to hide it, and then I realised how annoying that would be with the Sims trying to get there to play chess, because that's all they seem to do when they go to the park. I don't know who plays chess at the park, but here we are. I did a lot of fidgeting around with this to try and kind of hide it a little bit from the main grotto, but also make it accessible. A park made sense when I considered where it would be. It's the kind of thing that would just be outside. And in the idea here, it's like a Christmas fair. There would be lots of stalls and play areas around anyway, just for Christmas. I didn't know which other lot really worked aside from a residential. And of course, it's a residential, then you're not going to go there and have Sims going there of their own accord, which was the idea that you could go, you could pretend, just for a little bit of Christmassy gameplay if you needed that kind of thing. As you can see, the lot it's on is Tranquil Crescent in Newcrest. But honestly, it's quite a versatile lot with all the pine trees. It would work in pretty much any world, except obviously the vacation worlds, because if you have it in one of the vacation worlds, it has to be a vacation lot. You can't change the lots there, which is a shame. But this would work in Brindleton Bay. It would really work in Windenburg as well, if it was one of, the foresty lots off to the side, or even on the island if there was a lot the same size as this. I can't remember what lot it is. I think it's a 30 by 40 or a 30 by 30. I think it might be the square lot in the bottom left of the map. I think it is a 30 by 30, which was just big enough actually for everything I needed to do without it going sort of completely crazy. I didn't want it to be too big, but it obviously needed to be big enough to fit in this amazing grotto that would double up as a vegetable stall in the summer. And it might kind of be fun to revisit that in warmer weather to just try and make it actually into some kind of like a grocery store. I'm just doing a bit of the terrain paint. I really regretted all of my life choices of building in the snow at this point because I had no idea what I was doing. I confess, I don't really know what it looks like under it. I did go into build mode straight off the map after I'd moved Holly out, and it did look pretty okay to me, so I didn't change up too much. I didn't really want to mess around with it too much anyway, because I figured, hey, this is the kind of build that you're going to be using in the snow, so you're not going to see the terrain paint anyway. As you can see, I did manage to hide the chess table sneaky over the back. I have no idea if your Sims can get to it. If they can't, that kind of sucks for them, and they're going to have to deal with it. But I didn't really want it visible. It just didn't fit the lot whatsoever. So I'm just having her decorate the roof here. I didn't have any real fencing or anything else to do that would make sense. And that was when she decided she was hungry and she wanted a sandwich. So that was really, really handy of her. And I'm just adding in a few decorations here as well. I do add a couple of things off camera when I go back into playtest, which was actually about an hour before I filmed this video. I went into playtest, I checked a few things. I added a mailbox at the front as well, one of the little Christmassy ones from Seasons, because I thought it would be a really cute little addition at the front, as in like, letters to Santa kind of thing. This is coming to the end of the build now. I'm trying to figure out the signage. One of them, that one, I did look, and I loved that, but it kind of looked a bit like a tree farm. So I do end up going for the presents in the end. And it just looks cute. I really like it. All in all, I'm really happy with how this build turned out. It was pretty much what I envisioned it was going to be at the start. There are some stills like there were last time, and a couple of clips after Wolfgang decided to beat up one of the bears inside when I was playtesting. So there we go, we are at the end of the build. It is complete. It doesn't use any CC, but it does use quite a few packs, I think. You can see that on the gallery if you go to look at it. It is on the gallery. It is under Snow Cove Grotto, and my name on the gallery is Emma Hart 121. I will pop both of those on screen and in the description box down below in case you want to put the build in your game. I'll also put the link to Rebel Without A Claus in the description box below in case you're a reader and you're interested in it. It is in Kindle Unlimited, and the link is a universal Amazon link that will take you to your local Amazon store for you to easily get hold of it. Thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. I really appreciate it, and I really, really hope you enjoyed the build. I'm hoping to get more Christmas content out very soon. There will be another building my books next weekend, which will be another Christmas build from my upcoming Christmas novel, which I will hopefully be able to share more about then. And I'm hoping to get a show challenge build up in the middle of this week that I've been working on, which has been so much fun. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of my builds. And I will see you next time. Bye!